Boy, are we going to do something fun today. Today, we're going to do one of those episodes where you get to ask a professional dating coach anything you want. You see, I went to ChatGPT and I put in the characteristics of the average Red Velvet listener. So, good looking, handsome, driven, tall, dark, and handsome. And I asked, what are the top 50 questions that this person would ask? So some of the questions I got was like how to better manage my insecurity in dating. What are some strategies for deepening emotional connection? Essentially, these are some of the questions that you've probably been pondering about for most of your adult dating life. And so what I've decided to do for you, my dear friend, is I've decided to narrow down these 50 questions. I picked the top 10, the hottest, the ones that I've seen come up again and again in a lot of my coaching and a lot of my interactions with people. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna answer each and every one of them for you. This is going to be the episode where some of your most pressing questions will be answered. So if that sounds like fun and something you wanna get into, stick around because it's about to go down. Welcome back to the Red Velvet Podcast. What's happening, Captain? How you feeling, Big Sexy? It's your boy, the host with the most, Pablo Rosario. Now, I'm back. I know this is the first podcast of April. One was supposed to come out last week, but these last 2 weeks have been somewhat of a doozy for me. I have moved, if you can't tell from the background. I'm still figuring out the place here, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see that the background looks a little bit different. So something that I'm still working on, something I'm still finessing to make it sexy and appealing and make it really representative of the Red Velvet brand. So that happened. Also, your boy got sick. Your boy got sick out of nowhere. Now, I say out of nowhere, but I know what it was. It was one of those things where all the stress I was experiencing at the time, these last 2 weeks with the move and everything else, trying to get together the boot camp that's coming up, all this, it brought up some stress and some anxiety. And for me, I'm the type of person where you're not gonna see it. I'm not gonna show it. I'm gonna keep that bad boy underneath the surface, sweep it under the rug so no one knows it's there. But my body, because it knows better, is like, no way, homeboy. We gotta get this out one way or another. And so just like anything else, it manifested itself in terms of like a sickness. So I had a stuffy nose, I had a headache, I was sneezing like crazy, I was all fatigued in my body. So that put me out of commission for a little bit. And so combined with that, these last 2 weeks have been a doozy, for lack of a better phrase. But I can tell you one thing that I have been consistent in, even though I've been sick, is the lives, like my TikTok lives. So if you don't know, every night, I've been doing this since like the last week in January. Every night around 8 o'clock Eastern time, if I do an Ask Me Anything type segment where people get the chance to ask anything. And over the course of the last few months, it's actually been pretty cool. Over the past few months, I've built a little bit of community, a couple of day ones, if you will. They like to call themselves Pablo's Peeps, but these are like some of the most awesome people that have gotten to me from all over the place, from Nepal, from Colorado, from Boston, from the Caribbean. I mean, these are fantastic people that hop on every night, they ask questions, they interact with me, and it's been really fun. It's been really fun. I thought, it's cool that, we get to have this interaction back and forth. And they have had a lot of questions. I've had a lot of questions. I was like, I think some of these questions would be beneficial for everyone else to hear because I see a pattern hopping on. And so that's what gave me the idea to do this for this podcast episode, where I answer some of your pressing questions, just a straight up old coaching session, ask me anything sort of thing, where you ask and I answer. And so with that said, I definitely want to give a shout out to all of Pablo's Peeps. If you're listening right now, I'm talking about Jax, I'm talking about Camille, Romeo, Chad, Always Be Kind. This is some of their names on screen. I don't know some of their real names, but shout out to them. Shout out to Dale's Curls, Dr. O, Verna. Verna's been supporting me since day one, freaking almost bullying people to follow me and to like it, which I love it. I'm not mad at it at all. And so everybody that's hopping on, Kirk, if you're listening too, thank you so much. I really appreciate if you're watching this and if you're hearing this. Love you to death. I appreciate everything you do for the lives and for me, and you guys inspired this episode. And so shout out to you guys. This one's dedicated to you guys. And so, like I said, what I ended up doing was I went to ChatGPT and I typed in the average user for the Red Velvet podcast, the average listener, if you will. And I was like, all right, so what are some of the top 50 questions that this person would ask? So I went through them and I picked the 10 that I think are most applicable, if you will, for the broadest audience. And this one, and peep this out, right? I think I'm gonna split this into 2 episodes because I just don't wanna just give you a quick answer and then just call it a day. I really want to just flush out and unpack these answers so you have really everything you need. Like you have not only understanding, but you also have what's what I'm looking for? You also have actual practical tools that you can use and do. And right now, like as I'm looking at this right now, I know it's this right here in the corner. If you're watching this on YouTube, then it's a reflection of the ring lights. That way you can see me. So that's what that is, if you're wondering. That's what I'm wondering. So we have that as well. But everybody else, let's keep it going. So yes, I broke it up. And so I think I'm going to break this up into 2 sections. So again, I want you to have everything you need. And so with that said, I want to get into it. Let's just get into these questions. And by the way, if you have any questions you want me to answer, when I do this again in the future, I'll put your question up and I'll do it. I think this might be something that I continue to do in the future. So if you got a question, let me know. With that said, let's get it cracking. So the first question that we have here is, what strategies can I use to build confidence in making the first move? Now I get this. Make the first move is nerve-wracking for guys because we don't want to overstep. We don't want to be known as that creeper guy who was too forward and made women uncomfortable. I totally get that. And so how can you build confidence to make the move? Well, that actually reminds me like when I was younger, when I was too nervous to kiss girls. I was too nervous to even kiss my own girlfriend. Like, can you believe that? One of my stories is that I had this girlfriend, her name was Liliana, and I liked her. And then I found out she liked me. I was like, holy shit, she likes me back. So we went out and we dated. And I remember walking her to her door and she was standing there looking at me. And I just gave her a hug goodbye. And I was beating myself up because I was like, come on, Pop, like she's your girlfriend. She likes, just kiss her. And mind you, I hadn't kissed a girl yet. So I hadn't had my first kiss yet. And I just kept going on. And then she just ended up breaking up with me because I didn't kiss her. And then guess what? My friends got her to go out with me again, to give me a second chance. And guess what? I still couldn't kiss her. And she broke up with me again. So I know what it's like to be scared to make that first move. And so, as far as like why that happens and why the confidence thing, I think one of the things is just pure nervousness and lack of experience. I think that's one of the biggest reasons there. I mean, of course, there's like the fear of, listen, I don't want to be too forward. I don't want to, be seen as a creeper guy. But speaking from my own experience, I would say the thing is the uncertainty that it would be welcomed. We're unsure of whether or not she would accept our kiss, accept us making the first move. And that's why we're nervous and we're uncertain about how she will receive it. And so, as far as how did I end up fixing that, is I started to really understand body language. Now, this understanding body language will give you confidence. And this is what I mean is that over time, just through experience, talking to women and studying things, I started to learn about body language and read about the subtle ways that women let you know, hey, I like you. So these are things like, for example, maybe her leaning into you, or things like maybe her touching you and touching your hand a little while longer. Other things is maybe, getting close to your face. Like these are little things that let you know like, hey, I like you. You can make the first move. And so I realized that once you start to understand that language about how the way women subtly communicate, then you can feel confident, okay, boom, I can proceed forward. Now with enough experience, you'll know like, okay, well, this typically is okay and I can move forward. And so with that said, the key to being confident is honestly shooting your shot and getting experience. Like no matter how experienced you are, no matter how confident you are, there's always that point of no return for everybody that we're scared to ask her out, to go for the kiss. Even if you do have it, just for the first time, there's that point of no return. The thing to do as far as having confidence is not to wait for 100% green light. All you need is just enough, over 50%, that the odds are in your favor. where you do feel confident, where you do feel like, you can make the first move. And so all you really need to know is, as far as like body language, one thing I would look is, one, how close does she get to you? That's a great sign because, hey, she's letting you in her personal space. Another sign is check her body language. Is she open or is she closed off? Does she turn away from you or does she turn towards you? And so that's another thing you can look out for as far as like, the green light to move forward. And all else fails, one of the best things you can do is just straight up ask. So if you want to go for the kiss, you can straight up go, may I kiss you? And that will just, the confidence to ask is the best baby step you can get. And here's the thing. You may think that, oh, asking is not sexy, it makes you look weak. Not necessarily the case. Because sometimes to bum rush a girl may not be the best thing, but when you say with confidence that may I kiss you, you're expressing your desire. That's number one. Number two, you're giving her her power and consent, the ability to say yes or no, which women appreciate. And so if all this fails, you can do that. So if you want to overall build your confidence in making the first move with women, my recommendation is this. It's to first get good at reading signs. Study what body language looks like. And then read it amongst other people and get good at it. Now, when you do make the first move, my recommendation, again, is to not just try to freaking slobber all over her or anything like that. Something like hand holding, something low key. And then see how she reacts. And if she reacts well and things seem to go well, you can make the next move after that. And then if at any point she shows with her body that she doesn't like it, or she verbally says, hey, I don't like this, or maybe we should slow down, that's okay. You should respect that. Because here's the thing, the worst case scenario, well, by the way, you need to respect that. That is important. Please do respect that. If she says, hey, let's slow down, hey, maybe a little bit later, it doesn't mean that she doesn't like you. It just means like, hey, I'm just not comfortable with this. Maybe not yet. Maybe, we need to get to know each other a little bit more. The best thing you could do is smile, be like, I completely understand. We're going to go at your pace. I'm cool with anything you want to do. But yeah, back to what I was saying. In that little tangent, I think I lost my train of thought, but I'm going to see if I can get it back. But anyway, the point that I was trying to get across is that you want to, number one, always respect consent. Number two is that if she says no or slows down, it doesn't mean that she doesn't like you. It just means that, hey, I need more comfort. Hey, I like to take things slow. I have a preference, at which point you should definitely respect that. And then lastly, as far as making the first move, it's just make the small first move and just see how she responds. See if she is okay with that. And then, if you kind of get good at it, then she'll make the first move. If you get somebody, that she's really excited, she really likes you. My girl, she made the first move on me. She kissed me. And so, because we were rocking, we were connecting, so it was that. But I hope that helps. So let's move on to the second one. So the second question is, where can I meet quality women who share my value and interests? That's a great question. A lot of people ask, like, hey, where can I go to find women? That's not the bar or the club. And it's funny, today on the live, someone asked that question and they asked, where can I go to meet women? That's not the bar, the club, or the grocery store. And my thought about it is this, is that you need to reframe the way you think. Instead of thinking about where can I meet women, think about when can I meet women? What are the moments that I can meet women? Peep this out. So what I mean by that is that if you are in line at the bank and there's a woman in line with you, guess what? That's officially become a place to meet women. Or let's say you are walking your dog down the street and you see a woman on the sidewalk, she is about to walk in the opposite direction. Guess what? The street has become a place to meet women. And so when you think about it like that, you are not boxed in to go to places that you don't feel comfortable in, places that you don't even like. Instead, now you see the whole world as filled with women, an abundance of women, and you are able to create opportunities in your everyday life. You get what I'm saying? And so as far as like, where do I go to meet women who have similar values? Well, you can meet them anywhere. That's my first answer. But the second answer is also to think about shared interests. Shared interests are essentially values personified, values experienced. Like, for example, if like knowledge and education or really health or one of my interests or values, well, where am I going to find people who are interested in health? The gym. So you go there. Or let's say you want someone who's really educated, someone who's really smart, who like very into personal development. Where are you going to find her? The bookstore at Barnes & Nobles or a conference. And so one thing I want you to think about as far as where to go is first define those values of what is you like, what is it you're looking for. Then simply said, well, a person who has those values, how would they live their life? What are some of the places they would go? Like here's an actual example. Like let me get deep for you for a second. Actually, so if you think about a person who's really into health, let's just take that for example. Well, would they likely shop at the local grocery store, or would they go to some place like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's where the food is healthier? You get what I'm saying? And so that's something to think about. Where would a person like that go? And shit, even type into ChatGPT, put your interests and your values into ChatGPT and be like, yo, where would a person like this go? So that's how you can figure out where can I find those people. Does that make sense? Excellent. All right, so let's go into number three. Number three, how can I overcome self-doubt and stop overthinking every interaction with women? Now, this is normal. This I totally get. This, like you're talking to the king of overthinking. Because see, back in the day, it's not that I couldn't talk to girls. Like after a while, I got over my shyness and I could have conversation. But every time that I talked to them, my brain wouldn't shut the fuck up. Like it kept going and it kept talking and it kept saying, you know, like, we'll do this. Well, what if she does this? Well, what if I say this? No, this isn't good enough. Pretty much it was just trying to be perfect. And what I ended up realizing is that that overthinking is actually a response to, at the core, of not feeling good enough. That's essentially what it is. Where I was trying to account for every scenario in order to be perfect. That's what was going on in my mind, that essentially I and everything I said, anything that happened had to be perfect. My mind was going 15 different directions trying to get that outcome, that I wasn't present, I wasn't listening, and my brain just ended up causing, what is it called? Paralysis by analysis. Like that's what ended up happening. And so how did I get over that? Well, I'll give you a couple things. So the first way to get over that, to overcome your self-doubt and also the overthinking, is first to do the inner work. And that path looks like this. I'm talking about what you're going to do is to first, you're going to get down to the root of why you're overthinking. Where's the self-doubt coming from? What are you not confident about? What do you doubt yourself about? And likely it's like, oh, I don't have experience, or I'm not good looking, or, you know, I don't know if she'll like me. So either way, like when you answer that question, now we're getting to the root, which is likely shame, some form of shame, where you're not blank enough. I'm not tall enough. I'm not good looking enough. I don't have enough experience. I'm too nice. I'm not, you know, like the bad boy enough. And so there's something like that in which you are judging yourself for. You are looking at outside criteria, what the world tells you you should be, and then you are judging yourself for not being that. And so you doubt that you're good enough. You doubt that anyone else will like you, and that manifests in the way you talk to women. So the first answer is to get to the point where you are healed, where you have accepted yourself and you realize you're like, yo, I am good enough. I do that. And the second thing, as far as overthinking, it boils down to developing two skills. Number one is to understand how conversations work. Like actually study. There's a technique, like there's a structure to attractive conversations. Like the shit doesn't happen out of thin air. It's not something that just magically happens. Like there's a structure. And when you have a structure, now you can get out of your head, and now you know what to do. Now you can tell your brain, okay, well, this is what I'm doing next. This is what I'm doing next. And now you have a focus. And that's how the brain chatter starts to slow down, because now you have a focus. Which brings me to the last point, is at the beginning, it can be tough, because trying to memorize all the 4, 5, 6 steps of attracting a woman can be a lot, which may bring you back to overthinking. And so what I've done with clients is I've just given each conversation one objective. That's it. One objective. Once you master that objective, then you can move on to the next one. So for example, there was one client, fantastic guy. He is a doctor, physical therapist, and he would overthink a lot. And so what I would do with him is, when talking with women, I would just give him one objective, which is this: go and say hi. That's it. Or as he got better, just flirt. Just flirt. Just tell a story. Just tell a story. And what that did is that slowed things down. Instead of his mind going in 15 different directions because he's trying to focus on different things, I gave him one thing to focus on. And that quieted the noise, and that allowed him to talk to women and gain that experience. And then what ended up happening was that, here's the byproduct too, with that one directive, it shifted his focus from being internal based to external based. When you shift your awareness from internal to external, things start to slow down. You become present. Here's what I mean by that. When your focus is internal, you're thinking about, what do I say? Is she gonna like me? Am I saying the right things? What do I do? All that's very like internal chatter, and it puts your focus inside. When you put your focus outside, like tell a story, simple, easy. You're just directing your attention outside of you. And when you do that, the monkey brain slows down, sometimes shuts up, and you get to be present, and you can actually be more conversational, more charming, more magnetic, because now you are present. Does that make sense? Excellent. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this is a good one. Number 4. How long should I wait before I date again? Now, this is a question that I got a lot on my lives. A lot of people hop on, they ask, how long should I wait before I date again? Now, that's a tough question because I get it. Listen, we want to move on. We want to move on in a healthy way. And so we all want to know, like, how long should I wait? When's the perfect time? But it's so funny because there is no official timeline. Like, it's not like you're cooking a chicken where it says like defrost for 15 minutes, bake for 20. It's not like that. Like it was an official time. It is something that has no time. For some people, that transition can be as little as a week, maybe a month. For other people, that point can be years. And it all depends on this, which is, I would say, instead of thinking about how long should I wait, I think the better question is, how do I know when I'm just ready to move on? And I think for me, I think that point is the point where your past relationship, it doesn't trigger you like the way that it did before. And number 2, you're in the place where you're feeling courageous enough to open yourself up, to be vulnerable, and to date again without putting walls up. I think when you can get to that point, I think that's when you're really ready to date. A lot of people make the mistakes of just like, hey, let me just, to get over somebody, get under somebody else. Yeah, I've heard that before. And that, to a certain extent, maybe it works. But what ends up happening is that if you do not process what happened before, you're going to take into the next relationship. History is going to repeat itself, and you're going to be like, why do I keep dating the same type of women? Newsflash, is because you're the same man. That's why. You are the cause of all your shit, and that's why you keep repeating the same shit. And so what you have to do, what I recommend, is to go through the healing process what was going on, take a look at yourself. What are some of your patterns that played a part in the breakup? And heal those as well. And then like I said, get to the point where you can think back on that relationship, or if it does pop up, you're not triggered the same way. You have a sense of peace around it. Because here's the thing too, I don't know if anyone's talking about this or if anyone's told you, release the expectation that you're going to stop thinking about your partner, that you're not going to miss your partner, that you're not going to feel bad about the relationship or the breakup. Because guess what? We're human, and those emotions, they don't go away just so quickly. And sometimes they don't go away at all. And so waiting for those emotions to go away, like, that's not realistic. For me, it's like, that memory is no different from any other quote unquote bad negative memory that we have. It's just, part of the recording that's in our brain, part of the memory bank. And so the name of the game is not try to erase it, because it's one of those things where you can't erase. It's very hard to erase memories. With that said, if I can't erase it, it's to have peace around it. Because when you're still triggered, it brings you back to that time. You can't be present with the person. You start projecting. As opposed, when you feel peace around it, you can think about it, you can feel it, yet you can still behave and date in a way of your choice. We're still open, we're still courageous. Which brings me to my next point, is that when you feel you can get to the point where you can date and you are not closed off, you're not dating defensively, you can be vulnerable again with courage, that's how you know you're ready again. That's how you know when you're ready to date again. So there's that. Let's see here. Question number 5. So we're going to end it like this with question numero 5, which is this. How can I learn to be more vulnerable in dating without feeling exposed or weak? Man, why did I choose this one? I mean, I wanted to get heavy, because you know how we do here in Red Velvet. I want to give you a little spice of both. I wanted to, give you practical ones of tips and actual things you can do out there in dating, but also we're gonna get real. We're gonna talk about the real stuff, about being vulnerable, about feeling weak and exposed. I don't care if we're men. Like, this is the conversations we need to have that you secretly wanna have. So let's not act like we're all big bag and tough, okay? Because I know you secretly wanna know about this. So we're gonna answer it. And so the question is, again, how can I learn to be more vulnerable in dating without feeling